Folks, we are live. Welcome to the Tavern Chat podcast. It's Talking Crit Night with Bad Mike, myself, Eric Tenkar, and none other than our very own Joe the Lawyer. Joe.
Hey, everybody.
This is the fun stuff about Mike and I doing Talking Crit. We get to drag people into these chats that Joe and I have known each other for years, but we don't get to hang out as much as we used to. What was COVID?
Is that going to change? Is that going to change
after COVID? Yeah.
Well, it might change virtually. We got something.
That's what I was hinting at. Wink.
If
wink.
Joe hadn't killed his computer,
oh no!
Yeah, that was the most expensive couple ounces of water in the history of mankind.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Oh, ouch.
Yeah, that sucked.
Well, actually, I've known Joe a long time through his old blog.
Yeah.
And I used to comment every once in a while. I used to comment. So that's when we talk about 2010, 2009.
Yeah.
That was
08, 09.
Way back. Yeah. Joe,
yeah.
back when blogs were king, Joe was on my blog feed and he always had something interesting to say. So
yeah, I like to, I think Eric Mona or somebody said it likes to stir the shit. And so I've calmed down since then, but I was all over the place. It was a fun time. It was like the beginning of the OSR, right? We're all trying to figure out what is this thing, and so it was kind of cool. It was really cool.
Did Joe ever publish Blood Island? Asked Vauban.
I did not. There's so many different iterations of Blood Island that I've come and done through the years. Now I've run a few different games with it, and there are a couple different rule sets. LOTFP. I tried it with Ash, Astonishing Stories from the Source Society of Borea. I even tried it with 5e, which was a colossal fail. But no. I just keep playing with the rules, though.
Well, listen, it's a great setting. Okay, it's really atmospheric, but I can understand why you want to keep playing with the rules.
Yeah.
Hello, J Pope. Hey, by the way, Jared, let's pour a drink, have a good time. Drink for me tonight is I invited my old granddad to the show tonight.
No,
so
well, see,
I got old granddad.
I'm having Mamba from Gilgamesh Brewery. No, we're not sponsored by any of these places.
No, we're not.
It is.
I would love for one of these whiskey makers to sponsor sometime, but that's not going to happen anytime soon. So
ale brewed with black tea and tangerine peel, as opposed to me drinking the tea with hops that has no alcohol. I actually went with a little alcohol tonight, so it's not like I'm a non-imbiber. I am certainly an imbiber.
You did the extra kick tonight to put you over the edge. Tonight.
Well, I'm going to be giving away $200 in drive-through gift certificates to our lovely posters here.
Nice.
Randomly chosen by Joe later on with his dice. And
your chances are good. We have 1, 2, 3. We have 4 posters. Folks, your chances are very good at winning a $100 gift certificate tonight. So
we have 10 people.
We have 10. Oh, no. I'm behind here. I only have 4 comments here.
No, not go by the comments. You got to go. How many people?
I watch. Okay.
Watching.
Oh, you got it. Well, I don't have access to that. You have access to that.
So. All right. Well, we got.
People that are watching, go ahead and comment. We love comments. Please comment on us.
And surprisingly, I'm not drinking tonight because of said spill on my computer. I finally got the new thing up and running, and new motherboard, processor fan, the whole shebang. And it was a headache, and so I'm so paranoid. I'm almost going to wrap this thing in like plastic saran wrap or something if I knew it wouldn't blow it up.
Right? Because it'll just overheat then.
Yeah. Then it's another mess. But yeah,
my son would custom build his PCs and then take the side off, and then the cat would climb in. Like, dude, what the fuck are you doing?
Oh, man.
We got a lot of things that we want to touch upon, and as we have hex crawls, we generally don't have anything that we're aimed at. But I'm going to start with something that's not directly related to RPGs, but I think it does fall quite into it, and that is the fact that Warner Brothers, as in those that put out movies, especially DC Comics universe movies, have decided that for 2021, and starting with Wonder Woman 1984 on December 25th, they're going to be releasing their movies for 2021 simultaneously on HBO Max and in movie theaters. And there is a huge roar being heard by movie theaters about this. So that's how it's going to hurt their business. But I see a little synergy in what's going on there between conventions that are running in person and virtual at the same time, like GaryCon is doing such. And I'm wondering if that business is going to work. So,
my whole thing, when I first heard Chris Pine was doing it, first thing I thought is, what did he do? Who did he piss off?
That's the D&D movie, which I don't know if somebody one of them.
I'm sorry. I was talking the D&D movie. I'm sitting looking at the D&D movie while you're talking about Warner Brothers Slate. I'm like, so that's how much I'm paying attention to my broadcasting partner here. I'm reading a totally different article.
But here's and it does have an effect on that too, because if Warner Brothers are going to put all their movies directly to HBO Max when they hit the theaters, and that means again the DC movies, including
Justice League, Wonder Woman, Amazon,
Wonder Woman,
Aquaman,
Black Adam,
plus Zack Snyder's Justice League. I think, right?
That's
coming.
Good.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of stuff that's going to be going pretty much. We used to call it direct to video when I was a younger man. Now it's going direct to streaming. Yeah. Now, does this happen with other studios going to pick their favorite? Well, we're going to release on Amazon. We're going to release our movies on Amazon and to the theaters at the same time. Now, one issue, and what I heard is that with Wonder Woman, they had to pay out, I think, the director and the main star cash payments because of that deal, because usually residuals are part of the contract.
Yeah.
And if you're cutting out the box office to a large extent, then what happens to the residuals?
Oh, I'm sure they're changing up all their future contracts. They're going to have a clause in there to protect them so they don't have to do that ever again, right? But I think it's going to spell the demise of the movie theater. Honestly, with COVID, I mean, listen, I'm 50, I'm fat, and I have high blood pressure. I'm not going to a movie for a long time. I'm high risk, right? So I'm not going out. I'm not going to the bar, nothing. I'm just, even after the, vaccination or whatever, I'm a little hesitant, right? So I don't know if they'll be around. Right. And really, if I could sit here for $10 a month or 15 or whatever it is, and with my big screen TV and, my underwear with a beer, not have to drive, it's a no-brainer to me.
Yeah, and honestly, I'll tell you the truth. I mean,
sorry for that visual.
I hear they have these things out in Texas called movie taverns.
Yes, sir.
Where you can go to a movie, get your draft beer, get your pub food, and watch a movie. Now, we don't really have anything like that in New York City. But if I'm going to watch this in my recliner right next to me on my big screen TV, then I don't have to pay $14.50 a ticket. I think that's what we're paying now in New York City.
Yeah, probably.
I don't have to pay another $17 for my drink and popcorn.
Mm-hmm.
I can make all that shit here. Mm-hmm. And I can drink beer or not beer or whatever. And I don't have to have some jackasses screaming in the theater in front of me. Does it hurt people that are going to be going on dates? Yeah.
Well, I'm going to be the voice of dissension here from you two, because I wonder if this has something to do with you being in the East, because I'll tell you what. Texas, so theaters, from what I hear talking to people, we get a different thing going here. People don't talk in the movies here. People don't, I guess because everybody carries guns. You don't talk. You don't scream. I mean, unless you go to the midnight show, and everybody, you're there for that. But look, I love going to the movie theater because I have a big screen TV. My big screen TV ain't big as the screen at the movie theater. Sorry. And I don't have surround sound. And I can't even imagine seeing Avengers Endgame on my TV. It's not, I'm sorry, just not the same. I love going to the theater. It's date night for my wife and I. We go out there. Mm-hmm. We go to this theater that has probably 1/4 of the seats are regular theater. Which I'm getting to is, I think it's going to be more of a boutique experience, because the theater we go to has these big, giant reclining chairs. You push the button, the waitress comes by, takes your order. You have a full menu. You've got booze, you've got wine, whatever you want to drink. They bring to your seat, and it's just a great experience being in the theater and have the lights go down and this giant screen and getting to see the trailers. And I'm sorry, I just don't get that at home. And I watch a lot of Netflix and we watch a lot of Amazon. We watch movies. It's not the same thing. I don't mind spending the money to go on a date night with my wife and do that. Now, that's also leads me to what I think is going to end up happening is I think all your rinky-dink theaters are going to disappear. I think what you're going to end up having is a boutique experience. You're going to end up, the only theater that's going to be left standing after this are the ones that offer more, like we have Alamo Draft House, which is a big chain down here.
You're saying that they were forced to close.
Wow.
I don't think. I think this is going on for right now. I think the movie theater is going to come back. It's going to come back because as much as people are going to be like, man, this is so cool to stream something in my house, they're all going to want to get out and they're going to want to see a movie in the movie theater. And we still have movie theaters open here. And I think once we get the vaccine and once things are back to normal in about a year or so, people are going to drift back to the movie theater because it's a whole experience you're not getting at your house when you're watching your house.
It certainly is. But listen, when I was younger, it was all right. Beards on Wire. That's how the guy was announced in the movie. Beards on Wire. Beards on Wire. Rambo sold out. Beards on Wire. You go see Birds on a Wire with Mel Gibson and Goldie Hawn, even if it was a shitty movie, because it was the movies. You know what? Yeah. When you start charging me close to $15 a ticket, I'm not paying that for anything but Avengers Endgame.
Yep.
But it's not even $15 ticket. It's really more like $25 ticket because if you go to these boutique theaters, you're going to want to order food and drink. I mean, it ends up being a meal out. But how much do you spend when a meal out with your wife? I mean, you spend, you're going to spend 20, 30, 40, 50 bucks. And that's how much it ends up spending. So I look at it as, okay, this is how much I'm going to spend to go out, to a nice steakhouse. Well, let's go see a movie instead and have have some chicken fingers or whatever we get at the, a barbecue sandwich, whatever we have at the theater. Some of the theaters are even, especially in Texas, are getting a little more upscale and offering really, really good menus. I mean, we're not talking about bar food here. This is an actual restaurant making food, serving you dinner. This isn't just
right. Here's what I'm going to miss out on. Here's the one thing I agree. Back in the 20s, right? Our 20s, our 30s, you're going out with the guys, you're seeing a movie, friends, whatever. That's one thing, right? But now the movie experience that I will miss out on if the movies do go away is I was able to see my nephews and nieces. They're all in their early teens now, right? And so I was able to go to the movies and see the whole Marvel cinematic experience with them from when they were young, right? From age 6 and 7 all the way now. Matt is, 9-10 years later, right? So he's 15 years old. So that was a great thing to see their excitement, to be there with them watching this movie and see the excitement of kids when you're watching some Iron Man awesome scene or badass Batman thing or whatever. That's what I'll miss. Now you still have that at home, you get all together in the house and all that, but there's something special about doing it in a movie. Everybody's hushed and it's an impressive thing. The sound, the massive screen in front of you, that was cool. And while there's just some beer, you could buy beer here in the movies in Connecticut. We always used to hit the bar ahead of time, go in with a half a buzz, and that way it's a lot bit cheaper. You know what I mean?
Well, I think you guys are writing this off too soon. I say let's have this again. Let's talk about this again in a year and see where the movie theaters are. I have a feeling they're going to come back big time. Once people can start going out again, they feel safe about going out. I have a feeling they're going to be like, oh man, I forgot how kick-ass the movies are at the movie theater because the screen's gigantic. Oh my gosh! Yeah. I'm looking at movies now and I'm thinking, do I really want to watch this at home? I mean, I don't. I look at some of those movies that are, especially anything that's sci-fi or fantasy or superhero. I don't want to watch that at home. I don't care. I mean, it's great. It's okay. But, even a 60-inch TV is not going to stand up to the big screen at the movie theater. And just the whole pomp and circumstance of it. I think it's one of those things that people don't realize they're missing it until it comes back and they're going to say, wow, yeah, this is awesome. I can't believe that, I didn't get to watch a movie in a theater for a year. This is some good stuff.
I think you're going to have your temples, definitely. But But here's the thing, okay? And maybe you don't have this problem out in Texas where everything is bigger. But theaters when I was, in my young teens were 2 screens. In my 20s were 4 screens. And in my 50s are now 8 screens, if not 10. Same location. They just made the screen smaller.
No, they're all new in Texas. I don't know a theater that exists now that's older than 20 years old, maybe not even 10. They have all been torn down pretty much, and what you have now is the boutique movie experience everywhere around where I live, and I live DFW area right between Dallas and Fort Worth. Now I guess if you went to a small town, you'd different, but this is something that the entertainment industry invested a lot of money in about the last.
Oh, we lost him.
Man, the only way to get Mike to
last decade or so.
There he goes.
Am I back? Yeah, we keep dropping out. All of us keep dropping out. It's really odd, but
and I think Mike has a bandwidth problem.
Yeah.
All the theaters are pretty new here, and the entertainment industry. Oh, am I back?
Yeah, you are
No.
coming back in and out.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if we have to go kill your video.
Joe, if you have to kill me, Joe did this a little earlier for me. I don't know.
No,
So you didn't see
Joe
that?
was fine on our end. So I'm wondering if it's your.
It must be me then.
If it's bandwidth are you reading other stuff at the same time? Are you having bandwidth issues?
Yeah. He's froze again. He can't even respond to your taunt.
Yeah,
Yeah. Now, it's funny because we're getting the snowstorm. I'm near New Haven, Connecticut. You're down there in New York City. We're getting the foot to a foot and a half or whatever they're saying that we might get. They always overestimate, but who knows? But he's the one having the issue.
No.
It's funny.
I'm going to come out and go back in.
All right. We'll make sure we let Mike back in when he arrives. Now, since we've been talking about the snowstorm, and thank God I haven't had to go out and shovel yet.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's going to be miserable. It's a great. You're actually back to working in person as opposed to telecommuting. Are you going to be given a pass tomorrow?
Yeah, my workplace has already called and said, no, don't bother. So yeah. Yeah.
All right.
It's not going to be worth it.
Then we don't feel bad, abusing you here.
Yeah. No, I'm good to go, man. I'm good to go.
Now,
does he need a link? A new link?
No, he has the link.
Okay. All right. That's cool.
He's back.
All right.
There we are.
There we go.
I just switched everything off and everything back on. The solution of
as sexy as ever.
Solution of IT workers everywhere. Everything. So hopefully I won't have any problems now.
Yeah. So, what's your problem? Just reboot.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you turn it on and turn it off again, yes.
And I'll be honest with you, the greatest thing I ever did in my family was transition my parents, Rachel, my sister, to Apple products, because it just means that I have less tech support I have to do, to the point now where I can no longer actually do tech support. So it's just like I was trying to use my old Dell, and it has I got a blue screen. Yeah, I don't know what. Break out the old MacBook I gave you. The Mac, please.
Wait, $5 movie tickets? Epi Camacho? $5 movie tickets
combined with $1.
Oh,
see, now there's something I would never want in a movie theater.
Oh, there's Joe Block there, hey, Joe.
I would never want people in the movie theater all around me eating tacos.
Ooh.
By the end of that, man, you're talking don't light a match.
We used to sneak in tacos when I was young. Well, I'll tell you what, though. I'll tell you,
tacos to the movies. I was thinking heroes. Heroes, you can, tacos.
Soft tacos, just soft tacos. No, but and if you remember, we were talking about last week with Tim Connolly. We also have our theaters here. I think it's Wednesdays. They have old movie night, or I don't know what they call it something. And I was saying last year we got to see Jaws, Aliens, Indiana Jones, and that's another thing. I mean, you can see Indiana Jones, but until you see it on the big screen, you haven't really seen Indiana Jones. And there's a lot of movies like that, but even especially in the 80s. I mean, Terminator, Aliens, stuff like some of the classic sci-fi and fantasy stuff. I mean, it's quite an experience on the big screen. And remember I had the story about Jaws, and I was just watching my grandson watch Jaws, because like what Joe was saying about, you just like to see the reactions of people. I'm sitting there, I know what scenes are coming up, so I'm just kind of stealing these glances of my grandson. When Jaws pops out of the water and chomps somebody in half, I'm like, yeah, there you go, kid. That's what we call thrills and chills in the 70s. That was the good stuff.
Oh God! Great how Grognard is a ride. He says, "I hate Apple in true Grognard style. I don't show anything I can't get to a C prompt.
If it doesn't blue screen, it doesn't exist.
It's not real." All right, so let's segue from there to where I jumped forward earlier, which was the news about a D&D movie. So we heard today that there is apparently a D&D movie coming out, Dungeons & Dragons movie, and Chris Pine's in it. And my first reaction was, who's Chris Pine pissed off? Because honestly, this is an A-list kind of guy. I mean, maybe not quite top A+, but this is an A-list actor. I mean, he did the Star. He was Captain Kirk in the newest Star Trek franchise. I mean, he's been in a lot of stuff. He's been in the Wonder Woman movies. Mm-hmm. I'm impressed. They managed to get Chris Pine. Because, we're so used to D&D fans, when it comes to movies, we're so used to getting kicked in the nuts. I mean, when people sit there and say that Hawk the Slayer is the best D&D movie ever, that's just sad. I mean, the Conan movies are okay, but they're not D&D movies. The D&D movie wasn't a D&D movie. I don't know what that was. And that had some quote-unquote A-list talent in there, because I think it had Thora Birch, when she was famous for 5 minutes. And then it had, who was the bad guy? Oh gosh, what's his name? He chewed up the scenery all through the movie. I can't remember his name. But no. Chris Pine is
brothers. Come on,
Chris Pine is I'm cautiously optimistic now after seeing him in there. I don't think he'd sit there for a really bad script. I mean, has he done something really just awful, or that I know of? But no, I mean, he's at the top of his game right now. That's impressive. That tells me they're treating this seriously, and they're not trying to.
Well, I know that
the scene stealer he steals the scene in like all those types of movies.
I know that Joe Manganiello had written a script for it. He's big. I mean, he's the big Hollywood D&D guy, right? He's on all the shows talking about D&D, and he's married to Sofia Vergara. That gives hope to all us geeks everywhere who are still single, that there's come on, man, that's Jesus. Anyway, have
you seen Joe? Have you seen Joe? It doesn't give any hope to us geeks.
I'm 3 sit-ups away from that, dude. I'm telling you. I could be on there dancing on the pole.
Here's the thing. One of the best comments I saw after I had shared that on the blog side is, I believe it was James Spahn said to me, "So is he going to be playing Hank all grown up?"
You mean Chris Pine?
Yes. So if that's the case, then his class would be Ranger. But yes, he looks a lot like a grown-up Hank from the D&D cartoon.
Jeremy Irons. That was Jeremy Irons. He chewed up scenery like my dog chewing up a Christmas tree. Yeah, it was crazy. But and we've talked. I think we've mentioned this before about what would make a good D&D movie, what wouldn't make a good D&D movie, and about how the fact that they haven't done it right yet because, number one, they haven't really had anybody doing it that knows what they're doing. And I think the last 20 years, you have Dungeons & Dragons has entered a lot more in the public consciousness. Fantasy is not a dirty word anymore. Game of Thrones had to do a lot to do with that, with bringing it out of the cellar and making fantasy palatable for a lot of people. And I think they're approaching the subject matter with a lot more seriousness. Which I'll tell you one thing I like about Chris Pine. I mean, just the movies I've seen him in, he does seriousness and humor in equal quantity. And I think that's exactly what you need for a D&D movie. You can't be 100% grimdark, doom and gloom, but also you gotta have. That's the great thing about D&D. It has humor in it. There's humor built into the game. Right. You don't have to force the humor, but I think he's a good actor for that. I think he goes, he can do both to equal effect. And so I'm kind of impressed that they got Chris Pine to start this thing up.
If he can channel his version of Kirk in any D&D movie, I think that would be epic. I mean, he's leading the group of just a bunch of misfits or whatever, and everything gets all screwed up, but he still has some badass scenes, I think the best D&D movie I ever saw wasn't even a D&D movie. It was a tiny part of one of the Nightmare on Elm Street movies where this bunch of D&D geeks all fell asleep and ended up in Freddy Krueger's world, but because it was a dream, they were their D&D characters, and they started whooping ass. I'm like, this is the best movie ever. And then, of course, Freddy wins. And
it's Freddy. Yeah.
That was it, though. I'll tell you, Manganiello, though, he is a huge geek and a huge Dragonlance fan.
Yes.
He is a massive Dragonlance fan, and I think I don't know what's going to come up with this Tracy Hickman, Margaret Weis crap with all the contracts and lawsuits and all that. But if somehow he could get involved and get behind and get some backers for a Dragonlance movie, he would be overjoyed. I think there's some oomph there. You know, there's some real power and talent and ability if the first D&D movie does well enough to show that it's a marketable thing. You know.
Oh, okay. So Hasbro has apparently some direct control over this movie.
Oh, interesting.
Which is very interesting. From John Miller from Variety, Jeremy Latcham is producing the movie for E1, which Hasbro acquired last year. Brian Goldner is producing for Hasbro. So, all right. So basically, Hasbro has both halves.
Wow.
That makes it very interesting. Very interesting.
So the best, one of the best D&D movies ever made, which is not a D&D movie, was the second Conan movie. And the reason is because the second Conan movie was written by two comic book writers. I believe it was Conway and I don't think Roy Thomas. There was another, but it was basically written by two comic book writers. Yes, it's not a great Conan movie, but it's a great D&D type movie about a party of adventurers that get together and go on a quest and do all kinds of fun stuff. And so that's the kind of thing that I hope they kind of shoot for is you know, the basic tropes of D&D is that, you know, you have a group of adventurers, they meet in a tavern, they have a quest, you got a dungeon, you got a dragon, you know, and I would really think it needs to be set in one of the properties, Forgotten Realms, Greyhawk. Other than that, just make a good fantasy movie. You know, the last Conan movie that was made, the one with Momoa, it was a great fantasy movie. It was a terrible terrible Conan movie. It's just absolutely terrible Conan movie. But it was a great fantasy flick. And that's what you need. You just need a great fantasy movie. You know, fill in some of the spaces. You know, have them cast magic missile and fireball and do a few D&D isms. But just make a good fantasy movie. Don't worry about, you know, all the other extra stuff. Just make a good movie first, and then, you know, just take it from there.
I wonder if I'm not going to get way into this at all because, you know, but the environment. I mean, the older D&D style of game that we all play was, you know, kill them and take their shit, right?
Right.
You know, and that was the style of the second Conan movie. Let's go. I think it was go get the gem or something, wasn't it? I mean, it was that kind of a thing. Let's not kill the big ass snake. And of course, you end up fighting the big ass snake, and then they, you know. So I wonder how the movie making mood of the day would have influenced all that. What you can or cannot do with a movie. You know, that's going to be interesting. That's going to be interesting.
I mean, the thing is, you've got Chris Pine, and by having Chris Pine attached to it as a project, now you're going to get people, maybe supporting actors, that would not normally sign up for a movie like that. They might go, "Oh, wait, Chris Pine's attached to this, so that might not be a bad idea." Aaron Black, why not stick to an original module premise for the film? Well, how about an original module, but set in one of the settings? Because there's a whole marketing issue that, you know, Hasbro's going to want to do.
Oh yeah,
and they're gonna want miniatures or action figures, play sets, and if they can market it on the D&D side too, hey, play the adventure. Who knows? Maybe the movie's gonna be called Tomb of Horrors, and it's gonna be a remix of the Tomb of Horrors, and they're gonna just put out another Tomb of Horrors adventure based upon a movie, which is based upon an adventure that was a tournament adventure. Well,
they certainly have a lot to work with. I mean, even if you go back as far as the first kind of thing that would work other than Dragonlance might be the mega dungeon Temple of Elemental Evil. You got your setting, you got your characters built in. It's nostalgic, right? You got the good, you got the evil fight. I mean, all that kind of stuff. I mean, maybe I'm a fanboy of TOE, but, you know, but I think that could be made into something cool. And it would, you know, like I say, cross marketing is everything, right? You want something to drive the ability to play the game, to buy the miniatures, to, you know, experience with your friends. I think at least another thing I wanted to say, ask you guys about is I look at MMOs as a dying thing now. I mean, look at the DDO MMO, right? The Dungeons & Dragons Online one. I don't know, 10, 12 years old. It's still kicking, maybe 14 years old. It's hanging on, right? And so if you have, I think I said this in a voicemail to you, Eric, way back. If you have somebody like Amazon, right, who's coming out with the Lord of the Rings MMO, I mean, because they got the Lord of the Rings show, right?
Right.
And now the series that's coming from what I understand. I think these big companies are really the only powerhouses that are able to finance the massive development of a new MMO, right? If Warner's gets behind an MMO for Justice League or whatever their flavor of the day is, and whoever partners with Hasbro to make the D&D movie, you know, Netflix or Prime or, you know, HBO Max / Warner's, they could finance an MMO in conjunction with all this stuff, right? And so it's a joint marketing thing.
Oh, here's the thing, you know, and when I was playing MMOs real heavy back in the day, you were paying a subscription, right? Just to walk in the door, you were paying a sub, and I was paying a subscription for usually at least 2, if not 3 at a time. EverQuest or EverQuest 2, Anarchy Online, and then the game of the week for my group, City of Heroes. The one from Lord British that lasted like 5 months.
How was that called?
Do you remember that one, gentlemen?
Lord British.
Yeah.
But he put out like Ultima. Yeah.
Ultima was
but Ultima was that was not the MMO though. He put out the MMO. That had a lot of potential, but was just really badly thought out. And but the thing is, MMOs back then, the money was in selling you not just to subscription. You were paying, even back then, $50, $60. We're going back almost 20 years to play EverQuest. And then you're getting charged up the wazoo for your expansion packs. Now, you're playing, I went back to play EverQuest 2, and it's like, oh, well, unless I want to, you know, get some huge benefits, I can play for free.
Yeah.
Well, that's actually not bad.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have built-in advertising, although when you log out, it sends you to their effing webpage each time. But I find that I don't have that much joy out of MMOs like I used to, so I'm not going to join my own group as much as I love them. But I think if you could get a new licensed D&D MMO built off of loosely the 5e engine, so people could go in and feel like they're playing D&D, then you're going to have, well, first off, you'll have the people who started playing D&D with DDO and expect similar experience from their tabletop RPGs.
Yeah.
But I do think that there is an untapped or not fully tapped market out there. D&D is more popular than it was when it was hugely popular in our youth.
Yeah.
Right now.
Yeah. Here's the problem with computer games or any kind of computer system like that. Your lead time is huge. Look at the Bethesda games. Look at the Skyrim games. I mean, their lead time's 7 years. I mean, they take some 5 to 7 years to come up with a game to make it good, and even then, there's bugs. Look at how much money Paizo spent to try to get a Pathfinder online game, and how that just absolutely they just threw millions of dollars down a toilet. I mean,
that's Cyberpunk 2070 in terms of bugs, right? I mean, people are outraged and they're not funding any money.
And that took a long time. That took a long time to get that. I mean, it's supposedly it's a great game, but yes, all games are released early now because we're basically getting betas now. Is when we get games, and then we're going to fix the game while you guys are playing it. Just imagine if you announce tomorrow we're going to have a Dungeons and Dragons game, you're looking at 2026. I mean, 2025 until you've got it, and that's the problem. That's why I think they haven't ever gone too deep into it. By the time, if they announced a computer game tomorrow, and they start working on it, by the time 2025 more around, they may be to D&D 6th edition. I mean, they may be. God knows. I mean, things may have totally changed. I mean, I don't think people realize how much planning and how much time goes into this stuff. I mean, Skyrim came out in 2015. They're still working on the next Elder Scrolls game, and it's not due out for another 2 or 3 years. It's going to be almost a decade, and that's just how long it takes to get these things right and to make them look good. Now, if you want something that's maybe not as good as a Skyrim or a Fallout or a Cyberpunk, which by the way they all had bugs, then, you can do it in a few less years. But I think if you do a D&D game online game, you want it to be really good. You don't want it to be this half-assed, or build it on an older engine, like building it on the Baldur's Gate engine or some of the other engines.
No, you got to go beyond that.
No,
you got to have the latest edition too. Like you say, I think the DDO is based on 3.5, right? So
DDO is based upon 3.5. It's amazing how it 4.0 came and had no effect on that game whatsoever.
Which we all call 4.0 a video game D&D, right? So
I had to look it up, by the way. The game I was talking about from Richard Garriott / Lord British was Tabula Rasa.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Yes. That was one of the few that actually died the ignoble death of this game actually sucks and we got to pull the plug because we're losing money on it.
What do you guys think about it? Since you brought up the taboo subject, D&D 6th edition, you think there's going to be one? Do you think it's anytime soon? Or what do you think it's going to look like?
We've talked about this before, and I did a detailed analysis of how long each edition lasts. 1 year, or one show, I put it down there, and by my analysis, we're in the middle of 5th edition's lifespan. So most games end up lasting 6 to 10 years. Most editions of the game. I think the shortest one was 4.0, and that was still 6 years.
Yeah.
Most of the other ones have lasted 10 years or longer. So I think we're right about in the middle of 5.0's lifespan. And Eric had the idea, which I think is very prescient, is that they're probably not going to have a full on. This is 6th edition. Everything changed. I think it's going to be a slow slide into 6th edition.
And this is what I see. I see probably when the movie comes out for D&D, they're gonna re-release the core books, and they're not going to change the actual rules per se, but they're going to change and tweak a lot of the things like the races and the fluff. And stuff that's already happening now in the supplements is going to become part of the core books, but it's still going to be 5e. It's still going to be the core. The mechanics haven't changed.
Yep.
If you look at it right now, if you look at D&D and you look at Pathfinder and you look at Pathfinder 2, and Pathfinder 1 and Pathfinder 2 can't hold a candle to the market share or the VTT, the virtual tabletop share of games that are being played, whether it's Fantasy Grounds or Roll20, doesn't come within. It's like
it's quadruple. I just looked about 10 minutes ago. It's 5% or 4% versus 1%. So it's quadruple with.
And here's the thing, Pathfinder, even when 5e came out, was holding its own. Maybe not. Excuse me, maybe not hugely. There goes the beer. Yeah. But it was still holding its own. But the problem is, Pathfinder 2 didn't just not convert people from Pathfinder 1. It drove people away from Pathfinder 1, drove them to 5e, drove them to other game systems, drove them to the OSR, drove them to places. Oh, Joe, your brother is here.
Well, which is ironic because this is exactly what happened when WotC gave up on 3.5 and went to 4.0. All it did was send all the 3.5 fans straight over to Paizo's open arms. They said, "Come here, come on, we'll take you." And it worked out great. Paizo was the #1 game company for several years, and 4.0 is still one of the most laughable editions of D&D. So it's funny they fell victim to the same hubris.
Well, and I think here's part of the issue. When it came to D&D editions prior to this, you had no other choice, right? If you wanted to play a D&D type system, you had to go with what TSR or Wizards of the Coast was feeding you.
Sure.
There was no other option. With the open game license, now Wizards of the Coast says we're not going to give you 3.5 anymore. You're going to go to our 4.0 because basically we want to revoke the OGL and we can't. So we're going to make a new system that can't be OGL'd. And Paizo, Spark of Genius said, what's going to rewrite 3.5 and make it our own. And boom, there you go. Here's the issue now with 5e. Somebody can just rewrite 5e and reissue it. And they're going to call it Wayfarer. It can't be like Pathfinder. Pathfinder's been done. Wayfinder's been done, or Wayfarer. There's been a lot of variations of that already done. But they're going to just name it something different, and somebody's going to come out with a clone of 5e, and people are going to go, well, now I don't have to give up my 5e.
You're not going to have everybody completely jumping ship over to the new edition, where you're absolutely correct. And that's what's going to happen. You're always going to divide your audience. And that was the fatal flaw that happened when Pathfinder came out with Pathfinder 2.0. And that's because that's exactly what they did. They had a lot of people try it and say, I don't like it. I've already got $3,000 worth of Pathfinder 1.0 books on my shelf. Why am I doing this? I don't even like the new game. There was no absolute reason for them to switch. There was just nothing. There was nobody holding a gun to their head saying you've got to switch to Pathfinder 2.0. No, yeah, if you want to do league play and do some of their sanctioned games, yeah, but that's not that big a deal. People just said, no, my game's fine. We're gonna stick with 1.0.
And the thing is, and let's put talk about the elephant that's in the room.
Hey, I'm losing weight. Wait a minute, buddy.
Hey,
right?
no.
I lost 35 pounds, all right?
No. You're the giant that's in the room now. Here's the thing. The elephant in the room is Starfinder was supposed to be a cash cow for Paizo. It never worked out that way. I'm not saying they lost money on it, but they didn't make money that they were expecting to on it, which I think accelerated we need to put out Pathfinder 2.0, because when you're a publishing company, where do you make most of your money off of? Especially if you're publishing an RPG, your core books.
Sure.
And everybody was making money off supplements for Pathfinder 1. And as Mike could tell you, the announcement for Pathfinder 2 was kind of like, oh, yeah, we didn't give any of our third-party publishers warning. Oh, well.
Oh, yeah, we heard all those stories at GaryCon without naming names. Yes, so because Pathfinder, Paizo was famous for saying we're never going to come out with another edition of Pathfinder, which is ludicrous, but that's what they said. And so instead of warning their affiliates, like, hey, we decided we are going to do 2.0. You might not want to have any Pathfinder 1.0 stuff in the hopper. They didn't say a word. And so there was a lot of companies, not going to name names, that were caught with Pathfinder 1.0 products about to come out. They had to either cancel or very quickly retrofit their products, and they were not happy. They were absolutely not happy about that.
It was because when you're a publisher, if you announce it too soon, then your Pathfinder 1 releases that you yourself are putting out are not going to be viable.
Right.
So you're going to lose money on that. So it was all a cash flow issue, and I have it from good sources that Paizo at the time was suffering from cash flow issues. So this was something that they needed to succeed. I probably don't know how well it will be to succeed. Now, again, the OGL really hampers the ability for a company to say, hey, we're just going to reboot the system, because people can just go, fuck you, I can get stuff that's going to be published for the system forever.
Yeah.
I don't need to follow along. So I believe that Wizards of the Coast is all right, and I could be wrong. I've obviously been wrong before. I would like to believe that Wizards of the Coast is smart enough to say, hey, the dynamics of new editions has changed. We're better off, again, doing stealth revisions. I'm playing D&D. It's like playing with an operating system. I'm using Windows 3.012. I'm playing, my latest core books are version 3.
Don't overlook the fact that announcing a 6th edition will be a gigantic publicity and money burn. So I think they would do that. They would say, okay, this is a 6th edition. But to what you're saying, Eric, is I don't think it'll be a lot changed to the 5th edition.
No,
it'll be very hot ready. But they'll definitely say, oh yeah, this is a 6th edition. They're definitely would do that. They're crazy if they didn't do that.
I think they might do something different. I think they might more along the lines of what Eric is saying, but less calling it 6th edition. Don't forget, we got 1974, 2024. We got a 50th anniversary coming up here, right? They may just come out with a 50th anniversary edition of D&D and just call it the 50th anniversary edition, which is just 5e, and they take all the things that were decent from all the various modules that they put out, all the various additional books, Tasha's Cauldron of Bullshit, whatever, all that stuff gets brought into all this, you know what I mean? And they could just call it a thicker player's handbook, a thicker DM guide, and a thicker monster manual.
Yeah,
right?
but you're gonna. I mean, there's money in it. You're crazy if you don't make money on something like that. But what you're even crazier, and a lot of people, I appreciate a lot of the comments here. These are some great comments we're getting. I wish y'all would tune in most weeks, but thanks for tuning in this week. But the comments are true. Is that you have a very fine line between, we want to introduce a new edition, but we want to bring in a bunch of new people and get a lot of eyes on our product, but we don't want to piss off our older fans.
Yep.
If you want to weigh how it's done wrong, look what Paizo did. I mean, although, honestly, we looked at a lot of what Paizo did, and there wasn't a lot different they could do, just because the marketplace, that's just the way the marketplace is. There's not, because as Eric said, you can't announce anything too early, but yet the longer you wait, you're going to end up pissing off more and more of your affiliates. But WotC is the 800-pound gorilla now. They're going to be able to control this whole thing. They're going to be able to say, sniff the wind and say, okay, which way's the wind blowing right now? Okay, this is the time. Here's what we're going to release. I think absolutely correct about the 50th anniversary. That's the perfect time. It gives them 3 more years with this edition, or 4 more years, and to be able to tweak it a lot more. And there's already been plenty of tweaks. If we've looked at some of the news stories from this year, there's been tons of tweaks. Basically codify that, make that all official, instead of just, because right now all the quote unquote official rules are only available online. You can only get that in the online document. They're not available in any kind of hard. You don't have a collection of all the changes they've made this year unless you go online. Go ahead and make it official and say, okay, yes, we're not going to have level limits on this. We don't have strength limits on everything anymore. Here's what the new 6th edition is going to be. But as Eric said, make it close enough to where it's compatible, and you can go back and forth, and
you don't invalidate yours. And I'm going to tell you, I think we're going to go along with one of our commenters also said too, that I think in theme with the movie, you're going to repackage what now is to be the classic look of 5th edition. And you're going to take it and you're going to slap on new covers, and maybe again, I think that's the point where you're going to change some of the racial descriptions that have already been thrown out there, and you're going to change the monster manual to reflect that orcs are not necessarily.
They're sweethearts, man. Come on.
Yeah. Those things kumbaya in your backyard. But
peace drums, not war drums.
I see that being our next presentation, and again, time it with the movie. That gives you 2 years, and then you go with Joe's idea of D&D 50th anniversary edition. So you're not saying it's 6, right? And you're gonna go backwards compatible with 5th edition. You're gonna have, so people go, oh, I can still use all the stuff that I bought, because you don't want to ruin the built-in market for 5e, but you want to sell new books.
I'll tell you, some of the best 5e stuff I've seen is the stuff that when they put out a new module, right? Or I call them modules still. I don't know what the hell you call them these days. I still call them the thick hardback books that they put out with the new adventures for the year, right? Like they'll put out one for the Underdark. They'll put out one for the ocean. They'll put out one for each, like hell. But the first maybe good chunk of the book is about the module itself. But the last part, it's like seafaring rules from the Ghost of Saltmarsh. The one out of the Abyss had delving rules into the Underdark. All that stuff is so good that like I've printed it out, made my own little compilation. I call it my DM Guide 2, because it's the stuff that should have been in a DM Guide 1. That's the prime stuff you could throw in there, right? And then the monster stuff is easy. And as far as the player's handbook, you just got the new classes or subclasses, whatever you want to call them. It's pretty, it's pretty interesting. They could do it.
I agree. I don't know what else to add to that, but I absolutely agree with that, and it's going to be really interesting going forward because, for instance, when you had 2E was not compatible with 3E, so there was a lot of you lost a lot of backwards compatibility. Well, one of the great things about 5E, one of the reasons a lot of people like it, especially old timers. I mean, you talk to guys like Steve Marsh. Steve Marsh loves 5E. He writes tons of 5E stuff. It's backwards compatible, and I have some 5th edition stuff. You can play that with 1st or 2nd edition. It's not too hard. I mean, it really isn't. And likewise, it's not. I've been told, because I don't play 5th edition, but I've been told it's not that hard to convert convert a first or second edition adventure to 5th edition. Now, 3.0 and 3E, it was a totally different game, and it's a totally different. I'm not saying it's a bad game. I'm just saying it's different. I've had a lot of trouble converting 3E to regular, and I'm sure, just because of the nature of the game. If you know 3E, you know what I'm talking about. And a lot of it has to do with stat blocks. The stat blocks are immense and huge. So the 5E does not want to lose that goodwill, because they got a ton of goodwill by not, for once, not saying fuck off old gamers. No, we want you to come in, and I've told this a lot from North Texas. We're an old school convention, and we probably run 50-50 old school games to 5E, and people go back and forth all weekend long. They'll play in a 5E game Thursday night, they'll play in a 1E game Saturday night, they play in a Gamma Roll game the next day, and they'll play in a 3E game. And, they go back and forth between 1E and 5E all the time. It's not that big a deal.
Simple, very simple to do. I do convert on the fly if you got enough experience.
Sure.
I do.
And we didn't see that with the other editions. We don't see people. No. A lot of times we had 3.0. We ran 3.0 at our convention, 3.5. Usually those players would just play 3.5 all weekend. They wouldn't go back and forth between first, and likewise, the 1E people wouldn't play 3E, the 3E people wouldn't play 1E. That's one of the reasons why we decided not to have the league at our convention at North Texas, because when they came and brought the Pathfinder games, when they came and brought their games, they would just stay on their own little table in their own little room and not join the rest of the convention, because that's what they came to play, was that one game. And like I said, from running a convention, I see a totally different dynamic going on now. I see a lot of the old schoolers embracing, a lot of the writers, Steve Winter, Steve Marsh, embracing 5E and writing 5E stuff.
That's cool.
It's just totally different dynamic, and I don't think they want to lose that zeitgeist. I really don't think they want to lose it, and I think they seem like they're pretty smart, and they don't want to alienate too many people. They've alienated a few people, but grognards are always going to be pissed off about something. We are.
It comes with the territory. Get off my lawn.
Grouchy assholes.
I still remember the promises that Monty made when he was the designer behind D&D Next.
Yeah, and
he promised, and Joe will remember this.
Oh yeah.
You can take your original D&D character with your basic character, with your 1E character, and your 2E character, your 3E character, and a 4E character at the same fucking table, and you can all play together, sing Kumbaya, hold hands, and it all works out. And
how'd that work out?
It
didn't work out.
It didn't. However, you can, not that I spent a lot of time with the 5E rules, but you can take the 5E rules and you can strip them down a bit and get something that resembles something between 2E and 3. From what I've read, I could if I wanted to spend the time on it, I could probably hack out a 5E that would feel like a 2E, 3E hybrid and be semi-OSR. I just don't have the desire to do so because I have games I already like to play. But it's the reason why you can take 5E material and easily retrocon it or retcon it to something like Swords and Wizardry or Osric or 2E or 1E or Basic and not make your brain hurt.
Yeah.
I mean, 5E's it's the Starbucks of gaming, because they always say about Starbucks is the great thing about Starbucks is you get a Starbucks in your town, and the Starbucks effect makes every other coffee shop also make more money too at the same time. Well, 5E's the Starbucks of games. 5E, all it did was make everybody happy because it there's more OSR gamers now. There's more everything. A good, robust tentpole, which 5E is, helps everybody else around, and it really does. It gets people into gaming, and yeah, maybe they don't stay with 5E. Maybe they. And I've told this story to Eric before, and I think I've told on the show. We had a kid come to the convention a couple of years ago, and he was was playing a 5e game, and I talked to him afterwards, and he said, "Yeah, I'm going to be in such as 1e game tomorrow." I said, "Well, didn't you come to play 5e?" He said, "Yeah, but I've always wondered about 1e. It just looks really interesting. I just want to try it and see just see how different it is from 5e." And my grandson's the same way. My grandson loves old computer games, and he plays them just because he wants to see how different they are from newer games. Well, it was great because you had these people coming in that were just like, I'm gonna play 5e, but I want to try something else. And maybe they came to play 5e. Maybe they decided to play in a Gamworld game. Maybe they decided to play in a Paranoia game. That's the kind of game it is. It is a great tent pole for the hobby. I
agree.
I don't know how long it's going to keep up being the great tent pole for the hobby. I mean, if sales are any indication, I mean, it's the best-selling D&D game of all time ever. So it doesn't appear to be waning. I mean, they can shoot themselves in the foot. There's weird. They've done some weird stuff this year, as Eric and I will attest to. If you watch any of our shows, we usually lead by what's stupid is what has Watsy done that's stupid this week. But on the whole, they seem to be a pretty good game plan. Every once in a while pissing off Weiss and Hickman's not smart. That's stupid.
And the fans of Weiss and Hickman more so. I mean, people love those books. We grew up with those books, man. We're all that age. We're young adults, teens, 20s. We read the Dragonlance books and we loved them. I think probably right. I mean,
I think they were. I liked the first 3. Thought they were awesome.
Yeah.
The next 3 I thought were okay. And I hated any of the ones that were like
totally agree.
Jesus Christ, no, please.
Yep.
But and of course the Forgotten Realms fiction was very hit or miss.
Yeah, it was extremely hit or miss. Yeah, there's certain authors who said this is a good person. Other ones like stay away, not good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Stay away, Dixieland.
Quick shout out to Ivy the Happy Whisk, who just texted me and she is watching. She sent me an LOL on a couple things, so
we gotta get Tim on one day because I'm sure Ivy will be nearby.
Oh yeah,
looking at him when he is.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Hey, speaking of getting people on, we have a little bit of news about our plans for next year, don't we, Eric?
Yes, we do. TotalCon, right? We're talking about?
Yes, we're talking about TotalCon.
TotalCon is confirmed. Mike and I are going to be hosting Talking Crit. I'd have to look it up online on the calendar right now, but it's in February, middle of February. The Wednesday night before, because we always do Wednesday nights, Thursday, Friday, Saturday night, we're going to be doing Talking Crit. Joe, I think you're going to be joining us that Friday.
Yep.
All right. And we are going to try to grab people from the industry that obviously we know, but we're going to try to get people that you can not perfectly replicate the experience of going to a convention and hanging out in the bar and talking to people that you go, oh my God, you wrote whatever. Yes. And realize that they're just like you or me. They still, they still shit and wipe their ass, but
hopefully in that order.
But they have actually become successful in this hobby of ours, and we want to get people like that on the show, and so you can hear from them, because that's where I go. I go to socialize.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's February 18th to the 21st. So about the middle of February, or towards I guess the third weekend, February 2nd or 3rd. Yeah, we're gonna. So Eric says, "Hey, we'll talk to Angela. She's really into this. We need to do this." Like, all right. So I go to look at the guest list. Well, they don't have a guest list yet. There's no guest list right now. We don't know who to talk to yet. But I mean, once we get the guest list, we'll start talking to people. We'll start pulling people aside and say, "Yeah, would you go on our show?" And we'll there's a few people that that I know I would like to get if they're going to be on the TotalCon guest list, which they probably will be. And so, and the great thing about us doing this is we are not, Eric and I are not the cookie cutter interview types at all.
Oh God, no.
So like if we
more F-bombs in one of these shows than
So, I mean, if we had somebody like, let's say we had Tim Kask on, we're not going to ask Tim Kask the boring, stupid, yawner questions that everybody wants to ask. We might just sit back and let him rant for an hour because that'd be hilarious.
I'm going to go, Tim, nonprofit 401cs, go.
I tell you, I played in this game. The Total Con was the first big con I've ever been to, of any size. I've been to a couple smaller ones, and I went last February, hung out with Eric, and soon after COVID hit. I blame it all on Total Con. Anyway, it was the end of in-person gaming, but I got to play with some awesome people. I played in Jeff Talanian's Ash game, Steins and Swords and Sorcerer's Hyperborea, and I got to play with Tim Kask, which was epic because he has a different kind of thing. He also made an index card with some ideas, and he wraps it into an on-the-spot game. And at one point in the game, this is my little tiny Tim Kask claim to fame, he's mentioned, somebody made a joke, and there was like a pun, and says, Gary always tried to throw puns. I mean, he was the best punter in the world, or whatever the word is, punter. And he says, nobody can ever throw a pun out there and make me laugh or anything like that. Anyway, at one point I threw out that there's this pig statue in the game, and I say I give it my blanket and I wrap it around it. It took him a second, and he just couldn't hold it in. He started laughing and flipped me off double the bird right to my face at his game table, and I'm like, yes, I got him. I got him with a pun.
You have achieved greatness.
Speaking of Talanian, if we can get Jeff is on my list big time. Jeff is awesome, and we have spent many a night at Gary Con and Game Hall Con sitting at a bar or table talking about our favorite authors, Robert E. Howard and Lovecraft and Clark Ashton Smith. So Jeff's a great guy. Well, I would love to. So we're going to hope that Jeff's going to be there because I would love to have Jeff.
Jeff owes me, man. I've worked his table 2 years at Total Con in a row because we're always neighbors. Because I'm working the Frog Guy table, and then he's always like, Jeff's like, Eric, do you mind if I get some food? I'm like, I don't want you passing out. Go get some food. The next thing I know, it's like, oh shit, you want to buy that shirt?
Next thing you know, you're selling $100 Astonishing Swords and Sorcerers.
All right, hold on a second. I gotta make change for you at the Frog Guard till. Nah, man, I gotta fucking really make sense of it.
Boy.
By the way, as we're doing this, apparently this only keeps track of the last 100 comments. So Joe, give me a percentile roll. I'm gonna go back to the beginning of
comments. Right. You already have 100 comments? My goodness.
Wow. No, we're beyond 100 comments.
Right. You need to start giving away money every week, I think.
Speaking of which,
you know what? I'll probably be doing for this.
I have no problem buying our loyalty of our viewership. No problem at all.
Yes. So speaking of which, Talanian, I am breaking out. He recently did a Kickstarter. I got them. I got 2 sets and some extra sixers. So I'm gonna roll those beautiful.
Those are beautiful dice. They really are.
Did you get the leather bag, man?
I didn't get the bag with them. I went cheap on that one. I went cheap. Yeah.
All right. So you want one roll, Eric?
One roll.
All right.
Do another roll in like 15 minutes.
73.
Oh, geez. Fuck you.
He was hoping you roll 4. He has to count 73 comments.
Well, count 27 up from the bottom instead of going 73 down from the top.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Well, he's counting.
I can't do that because I'm only assuming it goes for 100. So I'm gonna.
Oh dear.
So while he's counting, I'll tell a quick Talanian story. I played in this game, Ash. I wanted to. To me, it's the best version of AD&D out there. It's way more than that. Trust me, it's way more than that. But I look at it as a great AD&D clone, right? So, but he has a great setting and he has a certain style, and apparently he has a certain type of character, a player rather, who likes to play in this game. And I didn't quite know how I fit in until I walked in and people, hey, Joe the lawyer, want a drink? I'm like, oh no, we're already fitting in. So about 2 hours in, the guy, I said, I already got coffee, and he pulls out a flask and he's dumping some booze, and I'm like, this is great. Anyway, so we broke at 2 hours, and I head to the bathroom, and I come out, and I look, and right across from the men's room there, Eric, you'll remember, was the bar, and the entire gaming group I was playing was doing shots. I'm like, all right. Great. So yeah, it's a good group, and it's a fun game, man. Fun game.
He has some good stuff. I back every one of his Kickstarters. His Kickstarters are always they're always quality stuff. And the dice one, the group my regular group met last weekend. We were masked, everybody, all you Karens out there. We were masked and had our we were distance. There's 4 of us in a giant room, but one of the guys, he had the leather bag. He brought his leather bag and dice, and at that point, I wished I'd bought the leather bag. I cheaped out, and just got the dice. And I was like, damn it, that leather bag is sweet. It's really sweet. Oh,
so nice, and it's soft. I mean, it's like high quality leather. He really did a good job. I guess they got it from South America. He imported it or whatever. He did a good job.
Michael,
haven't seen Sword and Wizardry yet.
Yeah. Michael, email me at tenkars.tavern@gmail.com.
Ooh.
Yes.
$100.
That's a good name.
$100 drive-through RPG gift certificate. Awesome. David Thompson, Swords and Wizardry is free in PDF. There's no fucking reason for you not to have it. All right.
I was going to say, if you were talking about the box set, I received some inside info on that. Sadly, we're looking ahead to March, and it's entirely not Frog God related. It's entirely Chinese printing related. Sadly enough, it's COVID related. So we're looking at March for the box set. The box sets look sweet. If you saw the pictures of them this week, they were all up on Facebook. But yes, we're gonna have to wait for those.
I got a sneak peek from somebody, and they go to me, and then you can't share this out. I went, really? Because Bill just put it out an hour ago.
That was a typical Bill Webb. Yeah, we can't share it, but apparently Bill can. What? Yeah, because they're up on Facebook right now. So that was, but yeah, so Swords and Wizardry is free. So yeah, we're gonna pimp that all. It is free. You can download the rules free at our website. But the really beautiful box sets will not be. We're looking at March now. We were planning for October. We thought, okay, maybe December, but now we're looking at March. Sadly enough, but they're basically finished. We're really waiting on a shipment. Is what it comes down to at this point. We're waiting on the stuff to get shipped here, and they're very backed up. Sadly, like everything else this year, they're backed up.
I backed a lot of Kickstarters this summer because it's funny when you're not going to a bar spending money, how much extra cash you got on hand.
I've noticed that too, Joe. Not just me, but everybody.
Oh my God.
There's lots of money out there.
Yeah, I bet around the springtime I'm going to be getting fucking entire bookshelf worth of stuff.
The first in-person convention we have, it's going to be ridiculous. It's going to be make it rain, man. It's going to people they're going to be throwing money in there like, yeah, I'll buy that. I'll buy that.
What are you ship? Can you? I can't carry this little thing. I mean, honest to God, listen. Before the world of COVID, before I came down with my trifecta of hospitalizations, I was at my local pub 4 days a week for lunch, maybe once on a weekend with Rach. I think since June, I've gone down there 10 times to eat outside. Once we ate inside only because there was nobody inside at noon, and we were able to go in the back. And it's like, oh, indoor seating, and it's empty. Huzzah! But it's like I've got this money that I don't remember having in my wallet. It's like I don't remember. It's like I can pay down debts and shit. This is not bad.
Yeah, I got ahead. Thank God I had the cash. I was able to rebuild my computer. Otherwise, that couple ounces of water would have hosed me.
I'm gonna check. So I'm at the warehouse, the Nortex warehouse. I got cops in the parking lot. I'm seeing lights. So I'll be right back with the scoop. We find out what's going on in the parking lot. It's a warehouse parking lot, so let's see what they're doing in there.
Mike, I do remember not the year before, 2 years ago at North Texas, we were there and I was out in the side back because I was with the smoker. Not that I smoked. And it's like, oh my God, all these lights everywhere at North Texas. What the hell?
Apparently, they're towing a truck. They're towing a car. I don't know why the cops had to be there, but there must have been something that maybe it's evidence of a crime. I don't know. But
in Texas, you guys, like you said, have guns.
Towing a car. But yeah, you were talking about North Texas. We had a major thing one year. That was the time the guy hit and run guy and ran through the hotel. That was crazy.
Oh God!
Yeah, we had cops. While some were down, we're playing games. We walk out. There's cops everywhere. Like, what the hell's going on? Like, well, somebody had a hit and run in front of the hotel, and they jumped out of the car and they ran through the hotel to get away. And so I guess the cops were, wandering around trying to find them. So
John Miller wants to know if anybody has played the Blight by Frog Guy games. Regretfully, Rach has walked out of the room because Rach had the best description. Mike, you remember what? She gave the blight the definition that somebody who has a master's in psych and social work would give, and it was really depressing. The blight is a very good product, but if you like dark fantasy, you're going to make yourself very happy.
All right.
But I mean, dark, disturbing fantasy.
It was actually so kind of inside story about the blight. It was late, very late, but this because a lot of writers worked on it, and some of the stuff was so dark they cut it because they said, you know what, we're not necessarily a family game company, but we can't have this stuff. This is sacrificing kids. I mean, it wasn't sacrificing kids, but I mean, something like it was like, this is too much. So we had to actually cut some stuff from the blight to make it more palatable. It was going to be called Cthulhu Dark, and so it's a very interesting setting. It's really unlike any other settings in Frog God games because most of them are pretty traditionally kind of medieval, quasi-medieval settings. The blight is more of a kind of a just a really dark city, and there's bad things going on. But if you want a little something extra, there was a really good podcast a year ago. I don't know if they're still doing it, about a group that was playing the blight, and it's the adventure starts off their entire village gets killed, and it's pretty grim, and they're the survivors, and they find out there's a link of whoever killed their city to the blight, so they have to go to the blight. So it's that's the kind of setting it is. It's not all peaches and cream, but it's interesting. It's a gigantic book, which is it's a bestiary, it's spells, it's settings. If nothing else, you can pull a lot of these descriptions out of there and use them in your own campaign. That's most Frog God books are like that, where you can just pull out stuff. The Bard's Gate is like that. There's a couple other things like that too. But if you like dark fantasy, it's worth giving it a look. There's not a lot of good dark fantasy settings out there.
I got one for you. I just talking in Kickstarters and Italian here. Grim Hollow, really, really good. Really good. I got the I backed the player's guide, and as part of that, you can buy the setting book. And I'm reading through it. Oh, there's like good, creepy, dark stuff. It's like grim dark, yeah. And I find it interesting that you're going to call your thing Cthulhu Dark, as if Cthulhu needs to be darker.
Well,
it doesn't get much darker than Cthulhu. Yeah, but Grim Hollow was pretty good though. I liked it.
Midnight was a great dark setting that I saw they're bringing that back too. If you get a chance, I don't know if they're doing it. Were they doing a Kickstarter for Midnight? I can't remember. But I've heard Midnight's coming back. Midnight was a setting for 3.0, and it was basically Middle Earth if Sauron won. Oh. And you're the good guys, but you have no chance of winning. I mean, Sauron controls the whole Earth, but you win. You can win small victories. You can, and you're basically trying to lead a rebellion against the Dark Lord. But the way it sets up is you're really not ever. I mean, it would be a whole campaign worth of adventures to even try to challenge the Dark Lord. But it was a very interesting setting because there really was nothing like it at the time, and the supplements were very well written. And so I've heard this is supposed to be being brought back for 5th edition. I don't know by who.
I would love that.
But it was a very interesting, very good setting because the bad guys were really bad and you really couldn't beat them. They were just, it's one of those things where we're going to go, the head bad guy, we're going to go kick his ass. No, you're not. You're not. No, you will just die horribly. So what you need to do is the whole campaign plays. You start off small. You're rebels, and you basically go up against small things, and you build up bigger and bigger. And then maybe someday, possibly, you might be able to challenge the dark power. But it's a look for Midnight when that comes out again, because I think that's due out maybe next year. Let me look that up while y'all are talking.
That's kind of cool, actually. Yeah, let me know. That'd be interesting to see. Cthulhu too cheerful. Better darken that monstrosity up, Brian Thomas.
Nice. Gerard 253. You talk about using continual light for kids and new players and students with special needs. If you need a significant number of copies, like 10 or more, email me directly at tenkars.tavern@gmail.com, and we'll work out a way to get you direct shipped from Amazon at cost. Okay, I have no problem doing. I love supporting stuff like that. So just email me, tell me what you need, and we'll make it work. So English transaction of Drakkar och Demonair.
Is that like Drakkar Noir, the old perfume?
Yeah. Oh God, I used to wear it. Oh, wait a second, that was my thing back in.
It was all our thing, man. That was our era. It was like high karate. It was the 70s. Drakkar Noir.
Oh yeah. Hi. What do you wear?
So here's Midnight Legacy of Darkness has been confirmed for. Well, the first one was originally published by Fantasy Flight Games, 2003 to 2009. So the newest one is published by Fantasy Flight, and they said that it is on the schedule for release in the next couple years. So look for Midnight. It's called Midnight Legacy of Darkness. And if you can't find the old books, they're really good. I know they're for 3.0, but they're one of the few 3.0 books that I read and really enjoyed. I like the whole setting of that, and they're very well written. So
who put them out? What company?
Fantasy Flight Games.
Oh, they were good.
Yeah.
Back before they became the bigger, better Fantasy Flight Games.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, there was another setting back in the early days of 3.0 that was really good. It was the one that lost out to Eberron. And the Woods of the Coast search. I forgot who put it out. The thing is, a lot of my good 3.0 stuff, and it's mostly setting stuff, is up at my parents' house in the Poconos. That's like my reading material for like, oh, gee, I have a day with nothing to do, and the internet's down yet again. And when the internet goes down, we have no TV. Shit. All right, let me break out a good 3.0 book and.
There you go. Always make your library travel. Always make your library travel. See, all my laptops, I have gigantic files in there. Even if I'm not on the internet, I've got these huge file folders full of stuff that I'll never read. Like everything by. Right. I have everything 4th edition on one folder on my computer. So if I really wanted to go through 4th edition, I could. I mean, I've got all kinds of crazy.
Why would you?
I just you're beating me to it.
If I'm through with everything, everything else is gone, I might want to get to 4. I don't know.
Think about it. Look at Goodman Games. Everything Joe Goodman has touched has at least turned to silver, if not gold or better, except for Level Up. All right. Anybody remember the Level Up magazine?
No.
No, you don't remember Level Up?
No, I do not.
That was when he got he signed up for the game system license.
Oh, because back then you couldn't. Yeah, you had to sign up to do 4E. You couldn't just do 4E. Right.
I think Level Up. I know I have 2 issues of it, it was kind of nicht so gut, as we would say in my bad German.
Well, what stinks too is Goodman had really, really built itself a really good niche by being the old school version of 3.0 or 3.5, because that's what the old DCC. I guess 1 through 50 or 1 through 51 were that what was it, like New Rules, Old Style? I can't remember.
Yeah, was that Warner Games?
And they would have some Errol Otis, Jeff D would do the covers, and they were just really pretty much just good old fashioned hex or dungeon crawl type adventures. Yeah, and they even had a Mega Dungeon. Castle White Rock, and they were rolling along really good and building up more fans. And a lot of old school guys would buy their stuff just because the look was so cool. The look was so spot on for old school module. And then when 4th edition came, that was it. All the old school guys left because then they were just doing 4th edition. It didn't have that old school look anymore, and it was not a very popular edition. So that was when Joe sat back and made the best decision he ever made, which was, you know what? I need my own rule system. And that's when he came up with DCC, the DCC rules, which was the smartest thing he ever did, because at that point you're not beholden to any other system. You're not saying, okay, we're going to do, whatever everybody else is doing. We're going to do our own thing. And that's a really, really smart decision.
My only criticism of that release was that he came out with the DCC rulebook, which I played a few times. It was all right. Not my style of game. I want to know that my spells are going to freaking work when I cast my freaking spell. You know what I mean? I don't want the magic missile to zip around and shoot me in my balls. You know what I mean? I just want it to work. But
that's why I said, I love the adventures. I just don't like the system.
Yeah. And so other than that, I thought the dumb thing he did was come out with the book and the book used the weird dice. I mean, every unknown Xochitl dice that nobody ever has, right? The 19.5 sider, whatever it was.
So they could sell dice. I mean, it was a marketing decision so they could sell dice that you could just play with the regular dice. I'm sure that's why.
But you couldn't find the dice when the book was released, was my point. It's like, dude, put out the dice at the same time as the book.
Dice, I can't play without these dice. Yeah. Was it the seven-sided dice? Why do you need a seven-sided dice? Okay,
Joe, God,
whatever.
Joe, give me another percentile roll, Joe. we'll give out the second.
DCC is a very fun. It's a fun con game. It's a very fun. I love. It's a one-shot game. I think it's a great game. I don't. As a campaign game, I don't see how it runs as a campaign game. I don't understand. Your magic user becomes arthritic, grows 5 arms, and is one eye in the middle of his head by the time he's 10th level, because
it becomes rough. Yeah, and that's part of the problem with it. I mean, I like the setting, the default setting that's there, and I love the adventures, and I've run them with Swords and Wizardry. I've run them with Osric, converted on the fly, because you're just taking the feeling for it and going on from there. But I just can't. I mean,
one thing Joe did, and he was very true to this, is he took the entire Appendix N and he read every single book in Appendix N.
Yeah,
and if you see the game, it's very much an Appendix N driven game, and that's what he did. I mean, he was very loyal to that. That aspect of it is I'm going to read all the books that Gary has in Appendix N, and it's going to be based on that. I'm not going to bring in other things. It's just going to be. It's got a very Weird Tales kind of vibe to it. A lot of because a lot of those Weird Tales authors are on that Appendix N. But it also has, if you look at Appendix N, there's a lot of weird space sci-fi stuff. Well, guess what? It has kind of a sci-fi weirdo vibe to it, and plane traveling and all kinds of odd stuff. So I thought he did a really good job capturing the Appendix N in a game. Ironically, D&D doesn't really capture Appendix N in its game too much, because if you look at D&D, it's mostly a Tolkien Conan hybrid. I mean, really, everything else is kind of, afterthought. I mean, I know he put Lovecraft in Appendix N, but I don't see a lot of Lovecraft in D&D, and there's really a lot of Tolkienisms in there. It's very much takes out of Tolkien and not a lot of the other stuff, and not even so.
I'll tell you what, DCC did come out with the Lankhmar box set and the Lankhmar modules, and I think he did a great job capturing the essence of Lankhmar. I think it's the Lankhmar AD&D first edition and second edition versions, especially the second one they come out with, which after some of the new Fritz Leiber books, were in my eyes still the best, I think. Yeah. Maybe because of nostalgia is clouding my vision, but the DCC Lankhmar stuff, I love it. And especially for that kind of a gritty city kind of a feel. You can just steal it all.
It has a very good feel to it. All right, so what's
100, right? A moment of silence, because I will be rolling my brand new, if you're on MeWe, you've seen a picture of this beast. It is a 14.7 ounce steel dice that I bought from Misty Mountain Games. All right. Call it the skull cracker or the table breaker, because you piss you off at the table, boom, you hit you. All right. So here we go. 14.7 ounces. It's bigger than a freaking golf ball.
Like a 99 and make
right. All right, here we go. If it ever stops rolling, it's one of those solid ball.
Keep on.
All right, here we go.
Break his toe.
Here we go. Ready?
Oh, jeez.
All right. We got a 25.
Thank you.
Oh, he saved you there. 25.
Yes, and if we get Michael again, I'm going to move on to the next person. Yeah. Keep on talking, gentlemen.
Yeah, Michael, we're not giving you a Merry Christmas, Michael. You have a Merry enough Christmas, okay? With $100, you're not getting 200. Sorry.
Yeah. So I think somebody mentioned that they're going to have a DCC Dying Sun.
Yes.
Now that would be interesting. That would be very interesting.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting. That's a weird. I finally read all the Dying Earth novels, really not even that long ago. I put off reading for years and years. I finally read them about 10 years ago, and that's an interesting setting. There's not a lot of. There's only really 4 books, and then there's a book of short stories written by different authors, and really that's about it for your Dying Earth background. So it's going to be interesting to see what they come up with there.
Jack Vance, that's where we get.
What's that, Joe?
Well, 25. 25, right? And Jack Vance is where we get the Fire and Forget Vancian magic system, right? So
Yes.
for AD&D from the Dying Earth.
Yep. If you read the first Dying Earth short story collection, you're going to be your mind's going to be blown because you're going to say, "Oh, there's where Fire and Forget comes from. There's where Prismatic Sphere comes from. There's a lot of spells they use in there." So yes, Vance was definitely influence on the. When I first got around to reading Appendix N, I was amazed at how much Vance was, and I was amazed at how much Poul Anderson was, because you read his books, The Broken Sword and The High Crusade, and a couple others. That he definitely pulled stuff just directly from those novels.
All right, John Miller, who has the same name but different spelling as Deputy Commissioner of Public Information and. For the NYPD when I was working. John Miller, email me, tenkars.tavern@gmail.com. You got a $100 drive-through RPG Now.
Nice.
Coming. And I believe Mike will have one prize package to give out before we finish this up.
Oh, nice. I will? Okay. Sure. Oh, yeah. This is going to be a Frogga Games prize package, and I'm going to ask. So what we'll do is we'll give you the email, and you're going to pick either 5th edition or Swords and Wizardry, and I'll put together a pack of books. Just let me know which version you want, and we'll put you together. I will go into the warehouse where we have our Frogga Games shelf section, and I will pull you off some very good stuff. At least $100 worth, maybe even more. Well, if I might pull Rapid Athic. That's $100 right there, and then throw some other stuff in too.
I love Rapid Athic. I played that a little bit, my guys. That's a really great thing. Yeah. And I bought the map pack in addition. It's great. What I did was I bought the like the 3-hole punch plastic slipcover things, and I stuck each map in a different page. Amazing, great adventure.
Yeah, we did that for display at a convention once to show how to do that, and that was like, this looks really cool. And so we had a lot of sales because we were smart enough to do that. So that's actually a really good way to use the map. Put it into.
Wait, were you calling us smart?
It was us. Did we think of that? It was you and me. So yeah, I guess it was extremely intelligent. That was a classy, extremely intelligent move on our part. Yeah. Definitely.
I just didn't want to ruin them. That's all I was thinking. My sticky fingers and spill the booze or Cheetos mix on them or something.
Well, the maps are kind of thin too. You could easily tear those up pretty. They're not really heavy stock, so you could tear them up pretty bad. So that was actually a good idea on our Eric and I thought ahead. And does Zach have any part of that decision, or was that just us?
No. Zach's part of the decision is usually going, that was a good idea. Hey, Bill. Under my supervision, look what they did.
Oh yeah. Sorry.
That kind of
we love Zach. Yeah. Swear to God.
I miss conventions because we used to do fun stuff like that at conventions. We used to be able to, think of things to do. So I will be very happy when conventions come back, and it's looking like that's a possibility for next year. It's still looking like North Texas in June is looking like a really good. As I mentioned today on Facebook, but most of our special guests are in the high-risk group. We should be getting their vaccines first. And so by June, all our special guests will be vaccinated. So we're very optimistic about North Texas this year because all the people 60 and older should be all vaccinated, which is most of our special guest list is in that age category. So
and it's funny too because my mother's cousin, he's God. Carl's got to be 86 now, 87. And he went from assisted living to nursing home, but he already had COVID, and survived it. God bless him. But now when we got the email, it's like, oh, we need permission to give him his immunization next week. So cool, it's coming around. It's like, but he already had COVID, but they don't know for sure that prior exposure is
and by the way, just because we're going to get vaccines doesn't mean that you still have to take precautions. I'm sure at North Texas we'll still have probably mandatory mask wearing, et cetera, because we're going to have at a certain point of next year, we're going to be where half people have been vaccinated, half are not. You can't lower your guard because then the people who don't have the vaccination are going to get sick still. So
we can't suck mouths at North Texas because
we're very optimistic. We're pretty optimistic, though. We think it's gonna work out pretty good.
Can we still have James Bond flesh man boob?
I don't think that causes cancer. but I don't think it causes COVID. It definitely causes cancer and maybe infertility. Seeing James Bond's man boobs, yes, that's.
Oh God.
Apparently, James.
Oh, yeah. Did you get the special email from James this week? By the way, Eric.
Yes. You know,
I
he
did
gave it first.
Yeah.
And then he's like, "I'm going to give it to Mike next." I go, "You better tell me."
Yeah. Thanks for suggesting to me get on that mailing list of.
But here's the thing, Mike. Here's the thing.
Hell.
What you saw, what I saw, his boss at work is getting that as a print-on-demand blanket throw.
Which was basically James Bond without a shirt.
Oh,
we got to see it. And he had a Christmas hat, right, too?
Yes.
A cheery little holiday hat. Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah,
remember James Radji with the
why did you remind me of that joke? God.
Hey, you put Spawn's man boobs in my face. Now I'm throwing Radji's ass in yours, man.
No, time out, because this is something that since Joe is on, and I'm gonna fucking bring this up. The ref book, The Limitations of the Flame Princess.
Thank you.
Excuse my language, motherfucking ref book. All right, James, where the fuck is it? All right, you can print out. As somebody was nice enough to point out to me, your community, including myself, saved your fucking ass from debtor's prison over the summertime.
Yes.
And we still don't have the ref book that we paid for half a decade ago.
It's like we're paying ransom for shit we already bought. I had to buy more books to keep his ass alive so that he could publish the thing I bought 8 years ago, wherever it was. What the hell, man?
I lost track. All I know is the change is like, I'm going to make an absurdly ridiculous due date for this stuff, but I know we're not going to get that far. And it's like, you hit that date and you've gone years past it. And it's like, you and Gareth. All right, Gareth is still a fuck. But come on, James. Come on. We want to like you. We really do. And
I like a system.
I like your system. I like the quality of what you put out. Mm-hmm. If not the ability to use it, because a lot of your stuff is unusable, but
use it now.
You know.
I can't.
You're not going to run the monolith out of space at the next North Texas?
Fuck you. Yeah, I have to catch up on my F-bombs right now. Right? So you too. Go fuck yourself.
I think I can see the definite effect of you getting alcohol after such a long layoff. The F word is flying freely here tonight.
Well, you know, I'm a whole.
You're a whole one beer into it now. Whoa.
Well, yeah, but hold on a second here. This isn't just any beer. What's the alcohol content?
28% alcohol beer. It's called Captain
5%. I'm used to drinking light beers now because of the low carb, and yeah, and it's mentioning a product that I paid for years ago, and somebody feels that we don't even deserve to. Oh, that's right. It's a free flow of thoughts, right? Isn't the new ref book going to be what he dictates and then has translated by his?
Well, the best part is the whole thing. This is so long ago. The ref book was announced so long ago that Zach Smith was supposed to write an introduction for it, and he's now the persona non grata of the entire industry. So I don't know if are we still supposed to get a Zach Smith section? Do we?
Oh no, it's going to be. This was not written by Zach Smith. Signed Zach Smith. You know, it's going to be one of those deals.
What a disaster. Somebody says, who is it mentioning? How they're doing financially, John Miller? I don't know. I mean, he did this big video a few months ago, right? Saying, we're saved.
He said it saved him. Yeah, he said that saved him.
He said he had all these government loans coming due.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest with you, I was like, I can order some of this stuff from his American warehouse, but if I order it from Finland, when he has the free shipping coupon going on, I was like, and then I get the book, and I was like, you know what? Even if I never use this shit, God forbid, when I pass on to the next life, my heirs would be able to go, hey, this raggy stuff is actually worth some money, which it probably will be. And they can then sell it, whereas for me, it's just sitting on a shelf.
Look, it's a raggy vomit pail. That's got to be worth it. It's got to be worth a ton.
Well, Well, that comes with the rag.
The bucket.
Oh, should we let's do the draw for Swords for Far God Games, because I think Eric's about ready to just pass out on us right pretty close.
No.
He's had 2 light beers now, and that's
no.
He's lightweight.
One regular beer, and I'm feeling it.
How many listeners do we have? Have they all?
We're 14 concurrent, but we had 20 earlier.
Oh, yeah, so, passing out.
Well, Eric's gonna have to count because I don't have
That's okay.
All right, I'll do another on the big dice.
Go ahead and roll.
I'm gonna hear a thump.
I love the big thump when she texted me there. So here's Ivy. This is for you. Another big old thump. Ready?
Jeez.
Oh, it's still rolling. Wait a minute, it's still going. 8. That's easy for you.
Hey, come on. You should. 98 would have been hilarious, but
I mean 99.
All right.
8.
Well, now should they email me, Mike, or
no? Tell them they can email me directly. There's no point in doing a middleman on this.
Okay, John Morse.
John Morse. Oh, John Morse. Here, there he is too. So John Morse, Mike at froggodgames.com. MIKE at froggodgames.com. All one word. So, and I will just let me know 5 your Swords and Wizardry, and I will ship you a happy pack full of Frog God Games goodies.
Gothridge Manor. Tim Shorts has made an appearance. I heard he was doing an interview earlier tonight with somebody.
Oh, hey.
Now he's appeared.
We love us some Gothridge Manor around here.
Tim's a good interviewer too. Interviewer. Yeah.
Well, we might have to have him on there because
and he's a great GM. We've him on one time.
He's a killer GM, man. He just even the fucking flowers in his world will kill your ass. That's why he brings plenty of red shirts if you're going into him. He's like, oh, there's like nice roses across the stream. All right, I ain't falling for that crap. Red shirt, go check out that flower. Sure as shit. Red shirt checks out the flower. Red shirt dead. It's versus flower dead. That was it. Yeah, no, good fun. Excellent game. And he put out a thing recently. It was really won 1 million awards for the best editing of any role-playing thing ever created in the history of mankind. It really did. I don't know if you guys have seen it.
No. What is
it? Oh, Tim. Pimp yo shit, Tim. Come on. Pimp yo shit.
That sounds like some
the best edited thing in history of
What's that?
Hey, and John Morris, if you can't get a hold of me through that, we're having some email issues. I just remembered. Contact me on Facebook, Mike Battleotto on Facebook. So just get a hold of me somehow. But we're having some. I just remember we're having email issues this week because somebody, PAX, thought it'd be a good idea to go into the files and switch around some email addresses just for fun. And I was not getting any email for customer service for 2 weeks. Now you would think, okay, you're not getting email for customer service 2 weeks. Is there something wrong? No, I'm stupid enough to think that we're doing a really good job and nobody's screwed anything up, and there's no problem at all. And no, it's because PEX has F things up. So,
sorry, PEX. Well, yes, so I have Hunters of Death.
Hunters of Death, yes.
And so, the best editor ever was Joe. You won an award for that, Joe? Oh, Joe, we lost Joe.
Hunters of
Death. See, Joe.
Oh no, Joe hit midnight. He turned to a pumpkin. Oh, poor Joe.
Joe, you got to come back, Joe. You got to come back.
Yeah, he was carrying the show this week. Come on, man.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing, too. We were going to talk about the fact that Joe and I now of course, Joe killed his computer, so internet issues on Joe's end. Okay.
Yeah, you and Joe had an announcement, I thought, but now maybe
I might be announcing it for Joe right now.
There's no computer, and he doesn't seem to be online, so maybe there's not.
Tim's product was Hunters and Death. Yes, he's texting me right now. But thankfully, text, come on. Okay, internet looks down.
Oh, this bodes very well for your show coming up.
Yeah,
this is great stuff.
Here's the quick background. Joe was supposed to be on here last Wednesday because last Friday Joe and I were going to be kicking off the new Iron Rations live stream. Yes, my hand's like, I'm becoming Italian. I'm sorry, New York Italian. I'm becoming it.
So Iron Rations. So Eric, what is Iron Rations going to be about with you and Joe the Lawyer?
Well, it was going to be not quite talking crypt because we'd become a bit more opinionated. We were going to talk about D&D editions. It was going to be a bit more focused, and it was. Of course, we're always focused. Fuck you.
Right. Yeah, we're the hex crawl. We're the D&D podcast hex crawl here.
Yeah, pretty much. So we were going to kick it off last Friday, but as Joe explained, he killed his computer with water. I thought it was coffee. Doesn't really make a difference. But in any case, so really now, believe it or not, we're going to do this every other Friday. So we're going to kick it off Christmas evening. So
yeah. So Christmas Eve. You're going to kick it off. Nice.
Evening.
Christmas I got you. Okay. Christmas Day. Okay, I got you. Oh, there you go. Okay, got you. Yeah, and perfect time. Nobody's doing anything. You've already opened all the presents. You ate a bunch of food. You watched football. You're just sitting around, nothing to do. You turn on the YouTube and let's get a little Iron Rations going here. So what are we going to be looking for with Iron Rations? So we're known as the podcast hex crawl. What do you and Joe?
But we cover everything. We scramble and we squash bugs and we talk crit and I drop F-bombs because I do it so well. Thank you, NYPD. But Joe and I are going to focus on editions of D&D and old school games, and it's going to be you might say here's some competing opinions. I know we had some comments on the D&D group on Movie. Please warn us about which edition you're talking about before you talk about it. Well, listen, we could both talk about 4E, and I'm sure everybody would want to hear us piss on it. Only problem is I probably couldn't talk about it too much because I own the book and never read them. So,
are you going to have guests on your show? Is this going to be just you and Joe?
Probably no. Probably. Well, if we have guests, they'll be self-invited. Because we're not going to be reaching out like we do on the show. Because we have an idea of what we want to, not abuse people, but certainly.
Well, I've got some hot opinions on editions. You need to have me as a guest one time. I will light it up. And I don't agree with Joe on a lot of this stuff, by the way, either. Joe and I will disagree on some stuff because Joe is firmly old school, and I kind of.
Well, he's firmly old school, but he runs 5e.
That's what's so weird. It's just very odd.
But he runs 5e, from what I understand, so that it feels a bit like, 1e. But, and then again, why would you do that unless you're just trying to trick your group into thinking?
They're smart. It's crazy like a fox.
Hey, there you go. Somebody's got to be.
So Christmas night, the 25th, we're looking at the first Iron Rations, whether or not Joe has a computer by then or not. Hopefully he will have a computer.
He has. I hope he has the internet. If he doesn't have the internet back by December 25th, I won't be doing it solo. I'll tell you that much.
I hear you. Well, we've got another show next week, and it will be close to. Oh no, wait, we'll be a few days away from Christmas.
Sure.
Yeah, we got it. So, and then we have the week after that, we'll have one more show, right? End of the year.
Yeah.
Okay. I've got some ideas for our last show, by the way. Okay. I need to get Chris Dodgel to send me some booze or either send me and use booze. I don't know if he can send. I don't know if you can mail that much booze to there. He may have to just virtual booze it. I don't know.
Yeah, he might like. What's in your medicine cabinet? I do have the book on cocktails.
So Doug cleaned out his booze closet with a lot of old booze the other day. That's where I got this old granddad, and he got another 5 or 6 bottles of stuff that's very suspect. So we may watch Bad Mike take some shots of some really cheap suspect booze that show.
Okay.
We're talking some stuff that I would not normally drink at all. So that may be our fun and excitement on the last show.
Yeah, well, that's okay because we'll be here the 23rd, the 30th, and I guess it's the 6th. The last day of OSR Christmas is going to be the Three Kings Day.
Oh,
Three Kings Day because
so we're giving away we're giving other more $100 gift certificates the weeks to come, or
well, I think the next week it'll probably be 250s.
Okay,
and maybe 250s, and then the last one will be probably 200s again. So I still think I'll be giving away like that would be like $600 or something like that.
Wow.
Together. Yeah.
Not too shabby. And we'll have some Frog God packets too. Frog God fun packs there. So
yep. That's not including giveaways on TenkarsTavern.com, the blog, and probably a day or two for listeners of the podcast. Just trying to spread it out this year since we have so many ways and so many audiences. We want to make sure OSR Christmas hits everyone.
Oh, shut up, Joe! You're not on here. Sorry, you don't have internet that works. We're not taking your messages.
God damn!
Go to hell, Joe. Go to hell.
Here's the thing: the last significant snowstorm that New York City had of any real numbers, I was still working, and I think we got close to like a foot and a half, and some. So they're talking about at least a foot here in the city. So we'll see how that works out. Yeah. So I got my father for last Christmas. I got him a electric chargeable snow pusher shovel, whatever the fuck it is. Never needed it last year. I think we didn't get more than like 2 inches. This year we'll give it a shot. It won't even be.
It's still 2020. You may have some massive snowstorm. It's 2020, man. Everything could go wrong. That could go wrong goes wrong this year. So you never know. You might get some use out of that snowblower.
But the thing is, now 5 years ago, in 2015, 5 years ago, it was so warm at Christmas and Christmas Eve that Christmas Eve, I went to my sister's house wearing shorts and Tevas. My niece still remembers that. And then Christmas Day was still like, I don't know, 68 degrees. I went down for lunch at our local pub in shorts and Tevas. And then like a week later, we had like, I don't know, a foot and a half of snow. So you never know with this shit. All right. Do you think we've abused people enough?
I think we've bothered them enough. We even gave away money in it. So that, like I said, I have no problem with buying our viewers viewership. So that's great. We gave away some goodies. But yeah, we need to wrap it up this week. Wait,
hold on a second. Hold on.
Whoa! What is this? Joe went back and hooked up the wires, tied them to a knot.
Hey.
Yep. Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, he's kind of scratchy.
Are you using your phone?
All right. I'm on my phone.
Well, you're just in time
I'm using my phone. I'm using cellular data because it's important.
You're just time to say goodbye to everybody, Joe. So that's
great. Joe, we had with Mike's help, we announced how we're going to kick it off Christmas evening because that's the kind of man I am, and the kind of dedication you and I have. And that we'll be talking editions of D&D, and that would also include different OSR RPGs because they really are just clones of various editions. And good stuff like that. Mike wants to join us one Friday because he thinks he has a.
I have some hot opinions on editions. I have some hot opinions on some of that stuff.
That'd be great. That'd be awesome. Yeah, by then the snow will be plowed, the lines will be fixed. I hope.
Oh God! Well,
you got a few inches already here.
Well, I don't know how much we have because I can only look out to my backyard and it's dark, so I can't tell.
Yeah, we got a doozy out here. But yes, there was hundreds of deaths was the thing that I was alluding to that I'll take credit. Yes. I pimped myself by saying that. Yes, I edited the thing.
I basically also play tested it too. So
yeah, it's a great thing. You definitely pick it up. I think Tim's selling it. So yeah, go pick it up if you can. But yeah.
I Tenkar endorses it. And if anybody asks you about Paterai, and characters basically doing a Monty Python skit, I deny all knowledge because I certainly would never use funny voices as a PC, and dress like the opposite sex just to get past an encounter. hey, sometimes the absurd works. I'm not saying it did. I'm just saying, hypothetically, theoretically. So, all right,
I don't
folks.
think.
What?
Oh man!
Or he's really, really fucking stuttering.
Well, that's connections. Sounds like two tin cans and a U string.
All right.
Play. You.
Well, there Joe goes. Best for Joe that Joe actually crashed. That was getting painful.
Gosh. Well, thanks for your guest appearance at the last couple minutes, Joe. We appreciate
that. Quick thing. Next Monday, I believe around noon Eastern, I'll be doing a live stream with Alyssa Faden.
Oh,
Mapper.
The Mapper, the cartographer extraordinaire. That's awesome.
Yes. So that should be a lot of fun, man.
She's a hoot. She's an absolute hoot. That's going to be great.
Yes. So, on that note, thanks to Joe, who's no longer here. But, again, he was taken out by the storm. As for Mike and I, we'll be back next week with more fun stuff.
Maybe a guest. Maybe we don't know. We might have a guest. We might not. I don't know.
We like to have guests.
I've got some ideas. I'm gonna call some people this week and make a couple phone calls. I think we can get somebody.
Sounds like a plan. Yes, it was. And dress up like a woman. Yes, I did, Tim. Thank you. Blow up my spot, you bastard. All right. We are still in the midst of the world of COVID. Neither Mike nor I are medical professionals. We don't even play one on TV or on YouTube. However, I'm going to say use your common sense. If you use common sense when you role play, use it in real life. It might actually carry over. And be safe, be well. God bless. Roll those dice. And I'll be back tomorrow. Mike and I will be back next Wednesday. Sounds good. All right, folks. Laters.
I'm still on. The impossible dream, somewhere over the rainbow, skies are blue. How come I'm still alive? I'm still alive. London calling to the faraway town.